Welcome to Inside New Albany Football with Coach Cody Stubblefield. I'm Jody Walls.
I'm Brady Brock.
We're with Gumtree Mortgage here in New Albany over on Starling Avenue. We specialize in home financing needs, whether it's a purchase, a refinance, or a new construction.
And we're super passionate about trying to help you find the home of your dreams, help you get it financed, just like this one right here.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Come out, hit them in the mouth from the first play, we're going to be fine.
Well, hello. Welcome to week 7 of Inside New Albany High School with Coach Cody Stubblefield and Mr. Paul Henry. We want to welcome you to the show. Again, our show is sponsored by Wally Morgan State Farm, or at least that's the site sponsor. And our show sponsor is?
It's Gumtree Mortgage. It's Jody Walls, Brady Brock. Collectively, both these guys do a tremendous amount to support us, so we very much appreciate those people.
That's right. You know, in high school athletics, you can't do it without your sponsors, so we appreciate them, want to thank them. And each week, we hope to give them a shout out and hope you'll reach out to them if you need insurance or any type of mortgage needs. So, Coach, week 7, last week we played Pontotoc at home. This week we've got Ripley away. Tell us about the Pontotoc game.
Yeah, you know, we got a chance. We started division play. Pontotoc was our first game in division. I went 4-1 in non-division. We talk all the time about it being 3 different phases: non-division, division, and then the third phase being playoffs. So wanted to start off on the right foot. Pontotoc's always going to be a well-coached, good football team. Came in, didn't do everything right, but again, 2 weeks in a row found a way to win. So really, really, really pleased with us going down. You know, defensively played well, offensively scored at times and managed to do some good things, but just pleased with coming out with a win for sure.
That's right. So 4-1 in non-division, 1-0 in the division. Mr. Henry?
Yeah, big win. Anytime you can beat Pontotoc, whether it be home or away, is a big win, you know.
Yeah, I think talking to David Good, he said that the series had played somewhere right around 100 times. It was like 43 that New Albany won, 46 that Pontotoc won, and then 3 or 4 games that have been a tie. So it's clear and easy to see that that's why it's a rivalry game. It's been close every year. I know in my 5 years, 2 of the ones have been in overtime. One of them was a 1-point game. This was another fairly close game this week. So it's year in and year out, it's a close game. Like I said, they're coached very well. Jeff Carter does a tremendous job with those guys, and they play hard. So, like I said, we didn't do everything right. Defensively played really well at times. I thought our defensive line did a great job. And then offensively we took advantage of some things, had opportunities. We got into some of those heavy sets and ran the ball, and punched it in. And then we were pretty solid on special teams. I think we were really close on a couple things offensively that I thought could have broke the game wide open that we just didn't quite make. But again, we did what it took to win. I think going back to that Corinth game, we found a way to win. This is the second week in a row we've beat a good football team. Just being solid for the most part.
So tell us what worked for you on offense, right? So you think about how many points you scored. What were the things that you saw? What was your game plan going into the game? And then how did you adjust to kind of finish the game out?
We started with the heavier set. We had a tight end in, H-back in, some bigger personnel. We knew that one of their strengths was those big guys, but we thought we'd still be able to kind of run it right at them. I didn't have as much success there as we'd like to at first, so we came back and spread them out a little bit. I think both of our touchdowns, a big part of that was taking advantages of some field position, whether it was special teams. One of them was a big penalty that they got. They gave us a late hit on our quarterback and got close to them. But our guys, they found a way. We put that big personnel in, and they got it in the end zone. So, scoring 21 points, we were averaging closer to 40. Not where we really want to be offensively. Of course, we'd love to score 40 every week. But, like I said, we played well enough offensively and then really well on defensively and got the win. So, you saw some success in a couple different areas. Like I said, we're heavily running the ball. I think we only had about 60 or 70 yards passing for the game, and that goes back to those. We had about 4 different plays where we were really close and just didn't quite make the play that would have broke the game wide open, I feel like.
I thought, in the trenches, Pontotoc came pretty intense there right off the start, and we matched their intensity, and our guys battled up front, didn't they?
Yeah, 72 for them was he's 6'6", 6'7", 240, 250. I mean, really big kid. 58 is a guy, another senior that's been there and started for a long time for him. 94 was a returning guy on the defensive front. So 3 really big physical guys on their defensive front. Who a couple of them also played offense. So anytime you've got guys like that, you're gonna have a challenge in front of you. We were very multiple. We played a 3-4 and a 4-3. We expected that going in. Coach Mapp and Jeff did a really good job scheming up that defense. Like I said, we were consistent enough with a short intermediate passing game, ran the ball effectively enough to punch it in at times. Just didn't get that home run play that we're used to and we have in the past.
Yeah, I felt like we were just one play away from busting that thing wide open last week, and had our opportunities a couple times, just couldn't quite execute, could we?
Yeah, whether it's Jeb or Shaw or it's a lot that has to go right to make some of those big plays happen, and we just didn't quite make it this week. But I know a lot of confidence in those guys. We're going to keep throwing the ball to them. We're going to keep doing the same stuff because I know they'll make that play moving forward.
Yeah, you ran some cool plays too. One play where all the guys are grouped up on the sideline, ran them out, had an eligible lineman basically busted wide open. How much of that do you save for division play?
We take it 1 week at a time. We certainly want to have some of that stuff, but there's all kind of different misdirections, different motions you can use, different formations that you can use to kind of try to gain an advantage, and we try to do that. Offensively, we want to keep it simple and get good at a few things. But also, certainly, if you need a break or need a play to try to win a game, you want to have those in your tool belt and be able to pull them out. So, we practice trick plays and different things week in, week out. And so we've got a few in our tool belt that we can bring out. Some of them we reuse, some of them we move on based on who our opponent is. But it's certainly nice to have some of those things when you need a big play if you got to do something a little different.
Yeah, I was watching the Buccaneers played this week, and they played against Kansas City. And they said one of the most exciting days of the week is when Andy Reid reveals his trick plays and his 2-point plays for the week. They just can't wait to see what they're going to get that week. So I felt like that play was one that kind of was that way. I'd never seen you run it before, but it was kind of an exciting play.
Our guys get kind of tired. Coach Stubblefield, some of the offensive linemen, hey, why am I going to do this? So we're not using it in the game. But there does come a time when you need some of that stuff. And by us practicing it year round and week in and week out, we get pretty good at it, and we got it when we need it. So whether it's, double passes or misdirection stuff or whatever the case may be, it's nice to have a few little trick plays in your tool belt.
It's just like basketball. Those situational plays, sometimes they may not matter in a game, but there may be this 1 or 2 games in the year that you're really happy you practiced them.
Well, them close games come down to execution in 1 or 2 plays. That could be get you beat, number one, or number one could win it for you, couldn't it?
And I think that's the thing. We play Pontoc's a good team. They play a tough non-division schedule. Their record doesn't indicate the kind of quality of a team they are. Corinth is the same way. I think they were 1-0 in their division as well after beating Caledonia. But again, that's 2 really good wins the past 2 weeks that our guys have battled, played hard. You got to make sure we limit penalties, limit second chances that we give opponents. And then we're able to, capitalize on when we get opportunities. I think that was a big thing. We had some opportunities, and we took advantage of it.
Sure. And then your defense, it looked like, to me, it seemed like the quarterback from Pontotoc was always in a hurry. He just couldn't get comfortable in the pocket. It seemed like your defense played well. Talk a little bit about them.
Well, Armstrong, his dad's the offensive coordinator, does a really good job. What they do offensively, a lot of it mirrors what we do. They've gone to more of an air raid style offense, so they're going to do a lot of drop back and letting him sling it out. Anytime you see that, you want to put pressure on him. I think our defensive line, our linebackers in our front did a good job not letting him get comfortable. He's a big kid, strong, hard to bring down, but he's not the most mobile kid in the world. So that pressure can rush the things, and so we didn't want him to feel comfortable back there. And then the best, you said it before, and I hope Coach Monroe used to live by it, the best.
Best secondary is a good pass rush.
Yeah. that's where it starts. We played a lot more man coverage and different things because we were trying to bring pressure. Our secondary played well for the most part. We got to give credit to the past 2 weeks for sure, that defensive staff, putting a plan together and those guys coming out and playing well.
Tell everybody again who your defensive coaches are.
Yeah, defense is ran primarily with Coach Hammond, Trent Hammond. Trent's, most of you know him, but he's been around a long time as a long-time head coach, most recently at Tupelo. He's our defensive coordinator. Kendall Murphy does a lot of different roles on our team, but it does our DBs. Sean Sanks is our linebackers coach, and Channing Ward does our defensive line. So those are our 4 primary guys that handle the defense.
Yeah, really good staff. Got legend coaches and also NFL guys on that staff, so that's a good one to have.
Yeah, a good group of guys for sure.
So tell us a little bit about Ripley this coming week. They're rolling. We're going to their place. They're 6-0.
6-0, right?
6-0. It's a pretty good stretch for us. Like I said, I go back to the last 2 weeks, but Carr and Pontotoc. Now we get a very good Ripley team coming back.
No rest for the weary, huh?
Yeah, this Highway 15 rivalry, the 4A football, it's tough week in and week out. It's going to be a very good game. They're 6-0 going into this week. They've got wins over Senatobia, who's a very good team, Kossuth, who's a big team. They beat Boonville. Then they've got Byhalia and Holly Springs are 2 teams that they've also beat. So 6-0, they've got a lot of confidence right into that. They've got a returning starter at quarterback, a junior at number 2 that does a really good job running the offense and managing the game. Offensively, they're going to be very multiple. You'll see them in spread. You'll see them in double wing sets. You'll see them in wishbone. I think they certainly want to establish a run game, and they've got different ways they want to do that. You're going to see a lot of different guys back there in the backfield. Aquan McDonald is a kid that we are all familiar with. He had spent some time in Albany. He's one of them. Number 11, Brooks. Number 6, number 24. A lot of different guys will come back there and run the football for them. So our defense is going to be another good challenge for them. I think probably the strength of their team, if I had to say something, would probably be their defensive front. Their D-line and linebackers do a tremendous job. A lot of those running backs also play outside linebacker for them. Number 11, again, number 11 is Brooks as a sophomore, and number 1, Aquan McDonald. Are really good players. Number 24 is a defensive end. That's a junior that does a really good job. A big motor guy. Will remind you of Montavio there, but a little bit lighter, a little bit quicker. A lot of talent there.
Well, you kind of talk about the names you're saying are kind of just Ripley named, right? McDonald and some of those guys. When you talk about Ripley, you talk about the McDonald's and the stories and all those great players they've had through the years.
Yeah, certainly. Jamal Brooks was a young man, and I'm not sure the relation, but was a very phenomenal player, good player for him a couple of years ago. Went to Northeast, not sure where he's at now, but a tremendous athlete. Ripley's a program that's got a lot of history behind it, a lot of wins there. And then, like I said, it's a big rivalry for New Albany. A lot of our people, look forward to that Ripley week just because they're right down the road, very similar to Pontotoc, and they're good year in and year out.
So what are you going to see from a front standpoint? I know you mentioned on the defense, their defensive line and linebackers are good. Are they a 4-man or a 3-man front? What's their secondary look like?
Defensively, they're going to base out of a 4-3.
1 safety or 2 safeties?
2 high, 4-3, 2 high. So that's going to be, 4 DBs, 3 linebackers, and then 4 defensive linemen. Pretty much juniors across the defensive front. They've got a really big junior class. I think they've got a couple seniors and maybe a sophomore. So big junior class. That 4-3, they're not really a big blitz team. They're a quarters, cover 3 when they roll team. So they're going to, we're going to try to see where they're at in the secondary and where those 2 high safeties are going to be, whether they're reacting down to screens and runs or whether they're sitting back, that's stuff that we'll have to evaluate during the game and get a game plan for. But I think, again, it starts with that defensive line. Guys that are juniors all the way across the board that are really good, that really give great effort, and then those 3 linebackers. So those 7, our offensive line, going to have to make sure we're able to control it. I talked to our guys today on both sides of the ball. The defensive line, our defensive line, and our offensive line are keys to this week. Controlling the line of scrimmage, being more physical than them up front. That'll lead us to success for sure.
Yeah, you talk about them not blitzing much. Often when teams don't blitz, it's because their front 7's good enough that they don't have to.
Yeah, they want to get pressure. Obviously, they want to control the line of scrimmage, and if you're able to do that, and by playing base, you typically tend to be your
no reason
front.
to blitz. And what about their special teams?
Special teams, they're solid. Like I said, they've got a very good kicker. Anytime you're a good team in 4A football, you don't do it without good special teams. So a lot of the same guys are involved besides their kicker, and they'll be sound there as well.
Meant to talk also about ours. Are our guys still in? I want to say undefeated, but are they still perfect off field goals?
We're still perfect right now. I know those guys in WNAU started kind of coining that the streak and whatnot, but they are, great. This past week against Pontotoc, scored a big touchdown and had a couple penalties that backed racing up on the extra point. He didn't bat an eye, sat there and drilled it. I think he's being more and more confident today at practice. I think he kicked a 38-yard field goal and just like it wasn't nothing. So he's getting a little more cocky. We're starting to have a little more fun out there with him, but he's doing a great job. Him and Witt's been sick earlier in the week, kind of bounced back from that. Those guys are huge assets to our team. We talk a lot about offense, defense, but if your special teams is not solid, you're gonna have trouble.
Absolutely.
No pressure on eighth grader, but after the game the other night, I seen his mom and dad walking up, and I said, "Okay," when they were backing him up, were you getting a little nervous or anything? Daddy was like, "No," and Mom was like, "Yeah, a little bit." So sitting up there watching an eighth grader kick a field goal in that type of situation in a close game. That's great to see what the future is in our kicking game,
Yeah, Witt does a tremendous job now. He's got a good relationship with this eighth grader, with Grayson that we're talking about. He's been great with him. We go out there on special teams whether it's kickoff, and Witt, he gets frustrated with it if he doesn't put the ball in the right spot, but because that's the way we do situational when we're kicking off. We're kicking it at sky or deep left or whatever the case may be. We're asking him to pinpoint it and put it in a certain spot, and that's just as hard as it is to kick a field goal. You don't notice that on the stat sheet as much, but it certainly has an impact on the game because,
no doubt.
If we're trying to cover to the left and he kicks it right, we tell him all the time, well, you better go make the tackle. And that's the same case.
Motivation to kick it in the right spot.
He made a couple tackles this year, has he not?
He's not scared to get after it. We talked to Grayson, of course, Grayson's a 13-year-old, and he's not quite as happy about going down there and covering right now, but Witt doesn't mind.
Yeah.
Witt doesn't mind it at all. Same thing with punt. We've seen Braden back there. You saw Witt back there this past week. We're asking them to put it to a spot. We're trying to cover that area instead of the whole field. And so it's a tough task for those guys. Like I said, as a fan, you don't necessarily see how hard it is to do those other kicking games. It's easy to see if the field goal is good or not. But it's a huge deal where they're putting the ball on kickoff with other special teams as well. A lot of these specialty guys are young. They're going to get to come back. Jeb Bowen's a sophomore, and he holds for us every week. Ethan Conley's been snapping for us for a while now. He's a junior, so he'll come back. So a lot of our special teams guys are going to come back. Witt'll be the only one that we lose. And so we're excited about that.
And Jeb's a baller. He's just a guy you can depend on, So tell us real quick, you mentioned injuries. Tell us about your injury situation.
Well, we're Ethan Cathy is still out with us. He's going to miss the rest of the year with that leg injury. Ethan is one of the primary guys on our offensive front. He's out right now, but we're excited about Drew Hobson.
I was about to ask,
so Drew's coming back this week.
Drew should be back.
That's exciting.
He got cleared today. I think he got cleared at 3:27. I think by 3:35, I think he was down there in his pads.
He's looking for somebody.
He's
looking for somebody.
That's right, no doubt.
We joke about Drew, but he brings a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of good things to the table. He's a bull in there, and he don't mind hitting somebody. So I think he's going to be a huge asset to get in there with Keener and Woods and those other linebackers, Parker or Skinner. Also, those guys. It'll be a huge asset to have Drew back.
Anybody else out?
Well, just experience coming back right there.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some guys banged out. We've got some guys sitting out for some, for an ejection. We're not going to be at full strength there, but we got some guys coming back though. So we'll be in pretty good shape.
When you mentioned Drew, 5 minutes later, he's got his stuff on. It's nice to coach a kid that wants to be there, right?
Doubt.
And so when he packs his stuff on, he's ready to hit somebody. That's fine.
There's nobody more excited about hitting somebody at football than Drew Hobson. I promise you. He's not the only one. We've got several guys. Stephen Woods is a guy that's going to play downhill. He's going to be aggressive. Skinner's a tough kid. A lot of those guys are like that. But Drew's definitely got a little extra oomph to him when he comes out there to football practice. So we're excited about that. He's been playing for a couple years now. Has been a huge part of our team last year. So anytime you get a guy like that back, it's
Absolutely.
a big relief, and it's a big
One thing
boost
about
for us.
you never have to worry about the effort out of him. That's
Nope,
100%.
And and that's a lot of our guys. That's what we've talked about. I think kind of started early in the year when we hit Itawamba. We had chances to lay down, and they didn't do that.
You
They kept
could see
fighting.
it, yep.
We don't always have to coach effort. Sometimes you do, but this group, these kids, we're not having to do that near as much as we have in the past.
Well, Coach, good luck. 5-1. Hope we're 6-1 at the end of this week. We play
Absolutely.
at Ripley.
Right at Ripley, like I said, they're 6-0. We're 5-1. Going to Ripley, going to be a big game for us, big game for them. It's the second division game, and kind of will set the tone as we kind of go through. I told those guys we're 1-0 right now. You're perfect right now. You got to take it 1 week at a time, and we got to stay that way.
Well, we had a great crowd there at Kitchen Field last week. We need all that crowd to show up at Ripley this Friday night, don't we?
Absolutely.
They've got kind of a smaller section over there, so I hope we pack it out. I hope we have guys standing around, so it'll be great. It's going to be close. That fence is awfully close to Ripley, so you're going to get a really close-up look at what goes on the sideline. You're going to be able to hear coaches, hear kids. It'll be fun. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere.
Well, and the game this week starts at 7 o'clock. So now that we're in October, all the games start at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, finally get to kind of back it back down
Start
to
a little
normal
earlier.
time. Starts at 7 o'clock. If you can't make it, I know you're going to go to our journalism staff, Chris Russell. Those guys do a tremendous job. I get calls all the time asking about how we live stream, what we're doing, and Chris Russell, journalism staff, WNAU, all those people that put it together do a tremendous job. Talked to Chris and Luke after the game, and he's excited. Luke's excited about
Talking about Luke Henry.
Luke Henry does a tremendous job, and him and the other guys as well. It's a big asset to our program. It's a big asset to our school and community for sure.
Yeah, none of it's easy doing that live stream, but it's also something that you've got a group of kids that get involved with it, it's their thing, right? I always tell the story about Luke when I introduced him to Chris and he was excited to do the live stream. About 2 days later, he caught me and he said, now, Mr. Garrett, I want to be clear. I don't actually want to play football. I only want to live stream football. I was like, yeah, Luke, I know exactly what you're talking about.
No doubt.
kid.
I know.
We definitely let him give it a try.
I saw him the other day, and I told him that he's gotten about 6'2" or so. I said, Luke, it may be time for you to play football. And he
doubt.
said, you know what he said? He goes, I've been thinking about it.
Well, there you go. We can definitely
Put
give
the
it a
camera
shot.
down and grab a helmet, huh? Here we go.
Because he's a big dude. He is a big dude.
We're all encompassing. We'll let anybody have a shot at it.
That's
so for
right.
sure.
That's right. Well, again, thanks to Chris and all that crew that are making the live stream happen. Even the sideline camera, people don't realize how hard that wireless camera is. So the halftime interview and the post-game interview where they get that shot up close of you looks really good.
Yeah, our girl that does that does a tremendous job. She does a lot of the graphic stuff that Mr. Russell puts out for the week. The game day graphics, she's doing a lot of that. She does a great job.
Band shots, cheerleading shots, fan shots. I mean, a lot of that good stuff.
Really talented people that are part of that.
That's right. Well, thanks again for watching. Again, the site sponsor is Wally Morgan State Farm, and then the show sponsor is
Gumtree Mortgage. It's Jody Walls, Brady Brock. Again, collectively, the whole group, both businesses, both organizations, do a great job supporting us.
and Coach Stubblefield's pointing because they're basically across the street from each
next
other.
door. We're in here at Wally Morgan's an office right next door, just down the road just a little bit. Is Gumtree Mortgage.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next week. Go Bulldogs.
Go Dogs.
Bulldogs.
Wally Morgan State Farm is proud to host Coach Cody Stubblefield's New Albany Bulldog pregame show.
At Wally Morgan State Farm, family is important to us. We think of ourselves as a family and our community as a family, and nothing is more important than nurturing the youth in our community. We are super proud of Coach Stubblefield and all the work he's done for Bulldog football, and we are super excited to support him and the entire team and see what they do this season. Go Dogs!